What's going on, everybody? How are we doing tonight, everybody? This is Michael Ben Melech, and we are live from the holy city of Los Angeles, California, on an impromptu kind of class story that I wanted to share with everybody. Since I've been back from Uman, I've kind of spoken to a lot of different people in regards to what are the things that have happened there. But what people don't understand and don't know is the trip to get to Uman for Rosh Hashana, the absolute difficulties and complications and obstacles that came my way to get there, where I almost didn't make it. There's no word to describe how big it was. Tonight's class is actually titled Ratzon, Will, the power to get through obstacles and challenges. And tonight we're dedicating the class, of course, because tonight is the Yahrzeit of the Tzaddik Emet, Rabbi Nachman ben Fega. And it's an incredible night. And Bezrat Hashem, after I'm done with this class, I'm going to get ready and head out to a big Chilulah that's happening here in Los Angeles, where I'll be joining a lot of different people to continue to bask in tonight's incredible light that's shining down from the Tzaddik, an incredible Chol HaMoed here, the fourth night of Sukkot in the Sukkah. So it's an incredible time for all of us to tap into this incredible energy that's being shined down from the world today. And for those that are connected to Rabbi Nachman, or those who are starting to learn about him, I salute you all. This is an incredible opportunity. You have no idea the amount of light that we can get from tonight. It's an incredible thing, and I don't want to downplay it. But with that being said, my goal tonight is just to kind of go over the incredible craziness of getting to Uman. And you guys saw some of the videos when I was in Uman, right? And I was just trying to give everybody positive PR, kind of like when everybody's talking about a war, which is another conversation we'll get there. But I'm just saying, hey, if I can be a reporter and show the world that it's really not as it's being played out to be, that's what I'm going to do. Now, that being said, I want to start off tonight's story with an incredible Torah from Rabbi Nachman's main book called Likutei Sichot, which you can find in English called Advice. Now, there was another book called A Bit More Advice, which came out later on, which was an incredible book written by Rabbi Shimshon Barsky, another big tzaddik who came down the line, another Breslov legend, let's call him that, who was an incredible person. And he kind of being a relative of Rabbi Nachman, eventually he started, kind of ad-libbing, adding a little bit more flavor to Advice, the main book. Now, I'm going to read this to you guys as a prefix before we start off the story, because it's that amazing, and it shows you exactly what this whole story is about. I'm just going to read it to you verbatim. So he says like this. He says, so when a Jew, who wants to do something good or a full-fledged mitzvah, something that is beneficial for his Yiddishkeit, especially if he wants to travel to the true tzaddik, a journey upon which his entire Yiddishkeit depends on, God sends him huge hurdles to overcome. What's the purpose? To increase his drive and determination to make his connection to the genuine tzaddik. To increase the drive and determination to make his connection to the genuine tzaddik. So he continues and he says, let's stop for a moment to explain why your Yiddishkeit depends so much on traveling to the true tzaddik. By the way, when you're saying true tzaddik, we're talking about Rabbi Nachman, obviously. Traveling to the tzaddik doesn't mean going to watch a show. It means forming a genuine, sincere attachment with him. That alone improves every facet of your Yiddishkeit, concentration in your prayer, Torah study, and mitzvah performance. Furthermore, your character traits improve. You're more generous, you're less angry, but sincere attachment alone isn't enough. You must have a strong ambition and desire to turn the attachment into action. And to have a real attachment to the true tzaddik, you have to hunger for it. You have to be hungry for this. You have to be driven. Be aware that the next time obstacles overwhelm you on your way to do a mitzvah or a good deed, especially connecting to the true tzaddik, realize, and this is the big line here, that God prepared them for you solely to motivate you to have new yearning and a fuller desire. And when you sufficiently rev up your determination, God helps you break through and actually achieve this mitzvah you long to do. And in particular, you will actually have the genuine connection to the true tzaddik you yearn for, which is the foundation and root of all of Yiddishkeit. Now, there's a lot more to be said about that, but I'm going to put that to the side for 1 second as my intro to the class. Going into Uman this year, as we all know, has been, a very interesting, storyline where obviously everyone's saying, wow, well, there's a war in Ukraine. How are you going to go, right? So for me, it's interesting. Normally on a year-to-year basis, my biggest obstacle going to Uman in general is always more of a family-related, obviously the wife having a more difficult time with it. And this year, out of all years, ironically enough, my wife actually was not. So, 1 second, let me see if we can mute everybody else. Hold on 1 second, I see here. All right, hold on 1 second. Mute all, okay. Good. All right, so from the people so my wife, for example, was okay with the idea of me going to Uman. She didn't give me too much hassle, which was an unbelievable thing. I was like, all right, this is awesome. She's letting me go. Great. But then what the bigger problem is the concept, the first obstacle that came in the way was the obvious, which is, as we term it in Hebrew, bilbulim. Bilbulim means thoughts and negative thoughts specifically. And what happens is that we're thinking, everyone's talking, oh my God, war, what happens if you go, what's going to happen, they're going to bomb, blah, 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 blah. And your mind starts creating stories in your mind. And now we could think about this for any aspect in life in general, because we tend to create stories all the time about how things can potentially happen to us, negative thoughts. Rabbi Nachman calls them fallen fears. And they come in your way, and they do this purposely to get you all confused, right? So you don't actually do this specific action, that mitzvah, that high-level aspect of holiness that we want to get to. So in this case, we had a situation where the war. And then obviously I'm concerned. I have 5 kids, Baruch Hashem, and my wife, and how can I do this? How can I leave my family? How can I go to this place, a war-torn country, etc.? So on top of all that, I made a mistake. One of the mistakes that I made is that I actually asked a couple of mekubalim who may potentially have Ruach HaKodesh, maybe be able to see something. And I asked the question, should I make it? Should I go to Uman for Rosh Hashana? And they both said, no, you cannot go. It's very dangerous. You're taking a big risk. And I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? How is this going to go down? And these are people I've listened to advice before. Okay. Now, as the days are getting closer, and everyone from the group, at least in South Florida, some other people that I know from around the country, we're discussing now Uman more and more as we're getting closer to it. The question of the fact that, I'm not feeling good about it at all. I saw something that was pointed out by Rav Meir Elkabaz, which completely shed a brand new light into everything. He says, take a look at the book Chayei Moharan. Chayei Moharan is the book of Rabbi Nachman's biography. And it talks about, everything about his life. And there's a conversation that happened with him where one of his students came to him and they said, I don't know what it is, but when I come to you Rosh Hashana, there's a lot of people, it's not comfortable, I don't even really get to see you. And the reality is, if I went to go visit you throughout the year, maybe it'd be a little bit easier if I went to visit you at that time. So Rabbi Nachman said to him, he's like, listen, what I can do for you in Rosh Hashanah, I can't do for you for the rest of the year. So he's like, well, what do you think? Like, should I go? Like, I don't know. I'm having a lot of obstacles. It's very difficult. And you know what Rabbi Nachman said to him? He said, don't come. Like, don't come. Like, I'm telling you, don't come. No, are you sure? Like, no, don't come. And it happened a couple of times again when people asked him the question, like asking the question, it's very difficult for me. Can I go? And Rabbi Nachman, imagine like we're talking about Rabbi Nachman, he said to them, no, don't come. Later on, Rabbi Nachman would tell the students, oh, I feel so bad that he's not here with us. You know, like it means so much to me. Every student is here means so much to me that he's with me, you know. But what can I do, right? Because as a Rebbe, going from a halachic answer, you have to always give a leniency when it comes to specific acts, specifically when it comes to obstacles, potential danger, etc. You have to give that answer. And so when I read that was the click for me. That I'm like, this is my first obstacle in the way. I made a mistake. I asked the wrong questions I should not have asked. And now that I did see, going to the words of the tzaddik directly, which is one of the most important points that we're going to learn from this story, is the concept of having emunah in the tzaddikim. Listening to that story, I listen to everything Rabbi Nachman says. So how could I not, now that he's saying, I'm seeing it black and white, this is my test. This is real life happening to me. So I flipped all my decisions around, going against the advice of these mekubalim, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go. Baruch Hashem. Now, moving forward, I finally now am getting ready. There were 10 days before leaving to Uman. And after some confusion, more confusion, hey, which country you're going to go to? You can't fly into Ukraine. It's a no-fly zone. So this year was even more of a complicated year in trying to figure out which country you're going to fly into, how are you going to get in, how's it going to work? Lots of question marks, okay? Here come the more obstacles coming into your mind. So what happens is that eventually I make the decision. The decision is I'm going to fly into a country called Moldova. Moldova is a country that's the closest driving distance into Uman. And for those people you may know, Gedalia Fenster, obviously people know him, a friend of mine, we're close, and I said, hey, you know, I think we're going to do Moldova. And he goes, you're riding with me. We're going to go straight directly from Moldova, driving into Uman. Boom, Baruch Hashem. So at least I know, here's the plan, okay? I go online, and I go on Kayak, and I finally go on Kayak, and I go the whole process, book the seat, and Baruch Hashem, I booked the seat on Kayak, going to Moldova. Baruch Hashem, I'm going to Uman, right? 2 days later, we're 8 days away from Uman, and I realized I didn't get an email confirmation stating specifically that I got a confirmation to go on this Turkish air flight to go to Uman. So what happens? I call up the company and I said, hey, I never got a confirmation. The company says to me, well, I'm so sorry. What happened was that the price tickets went up higher, and I booked the seats, just to give you an idea. I booked these seats to go, and it was about $1,500 for an actual round trip flight going from Miami all the way to Moldova and back. Now, what happens is they're telling me we couldn't book it. They told me it was booked. This has never happened to me in my life. How do you book a flight and you don't have a confirmation days later? So what happens is, at this point, I said, okay, fine. It's $1,500. Just let's book the flight. How much is it now? And in 2 days, the flight now costs $2,000 to fly economy all the way to Moldova. Fine. So now we're at $2,000. I'm speaking to the agent, and I said, you know what? This is another obstacle, a financial hardship obstacle, because it's a lot more expensive now. And I said, you know what? Just do it. Let's book the flight. It is what it is. Here we go. Here come the obstacles. The guy says, no problem. He books the flight, and I kid you not, I get an email confirmation minutes later, and I check my email, and what does it say in the email? It says, he actually booked the correct flight to go there, and he totally messed up, and he gave me the wrong flight back. The wrong flight back. So now I have the wrong itinerary, and I go, listen, hey buddy, this is not what I booked. You know that this is not the right place. So now he messes up, okay, on the second time around, and now I have to do a whole dispute because he already charged my credit card, the whole 9 yards to get back my money, and I still don't have a ticket to go to Uman. So that's strike number 2. Okay, so now while I'm dealing with all that, I get back on kayak. By the way, it's going to be the biggest mistake ever. Don't ever buy stuff through kayak through a third party, but that's another conversation. And in kayak, I'm sent to another third party. So now we're the third time here. And I go through the motions. This time actually was real. It sends me to the webpage of the Turkish Air. I actually pick my seats on the plane, on the computer. I put kosher meal. I put the whole 9 yards. So it's like a legit, I'm booking my flight. I booked the flight. Baruch Hashem. I am booked to go to Uman, right? 8 days from Uman. Now, fast forward, getting ready for the trip, emotionally, physically, every single way possible. The night before the flight, which is a Wednesday, Rosh Hashana is on a Sunday night, Wednesday morning, the flight's supposed to leave at 11:15 in the morning. So Tuesday night, the night before, something got into me, Baruch Hashem, thank you Hashem. That issue was, I said, you know what? I just want to call Turkish Air because I just want to make sure that I have a kosher meal on the flight. So I just call up Turkish Air very casually, right? And I asked them, hey, my name is this, and blah, blah. Can you find out if it's kosher food? And the guy in Turkish Air goes to me, I'm sorry, sir, you're not booked on this flight. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not booked on the flight? I booked the flight. What do you mean I didn't book the flight? He's like, no, you didn't. For 20 minutes, they're trying to figure it out. What happened here? It seems that there was a double booking because of the first one that was canceled combined with the new one that was canceled. And then basically they looked at it as fraud. Sorry, sir, you have no ticket. You're not going on these flights. Can you imagine? 3 times, 3 obstacles, 3 no's. You're not going. Okay? Now, you have to understand that there's the other side of the coin. And this is where it gets even more complicated. You would think that sometimes when you see that God is trying to protect you, right? You are thinking, oh my God, like maybe this is a sign from God, don't go, right? Michael, how many times is it going to take for you to understand that God doesn't want you to go, right? So what happens after this? I don't have a ticket. I go online and I look at how much the tickets are going for. A one-way flight to Moldova is now $3,500 for a one-way flight. And the way back flight that I'm supposed to go on with all my buddies from Miami is not even available. Gone. Sold out. So I don't even have a one-way flight back. I have to spend $3,500 just to get there. And on top of all that, all of a sudden, I get the heat. My wife, who was totally cool throughout this whole process, now she starts going nuts. Don't you understand? Hashem is trying to protect you. You shouldn't be going. Oh my God, the articles that were flowing, right, from the media, from Yeshiva World News, they're pointing the missiles. The Russians are pointing the missiles at Uman on Rosh Hashanah, throwing me these articles that I was aware about. Obviously didn't make me feel like happy about it. But like, okay, fake news, media as usual, right? Trying to give you the fear factor. Now, that's crazy. So now where my wife was like, cool, now not cool, more difficult than ever been, right? And I'm just getting pummeled from all sides. I can't get a ticket. My wife doesn't want me to go. That's it. My brain is emotionally, I'm taxed, I'm done. I pass out, okay? With nothing, no tickets, whatever. I wake up the next morning at 5 in the morning. Now it's Wednesday morning. It's the day of the flight. Everyone's leaving at 11:15. And then I call in the morning Turkish Air. I'm like, maybe something will pop up. Maybe I'll be able to get a ticket. We'll see what happens. So I call Turkish Air, and what happens? We're sorry, sir. Customer service is closed right now. Can't help you. So there's no help on the phone. No one's picking up the phone. I get in contact with Gedalia Fenster. And I'm telling him what's going on. I'm like, listen, I can't go. Like, I'm not going to go. Like, I don't have a ticket. I don't know what to do anymore. That's it. So he says to me the famous line, and he says to me, don't give up. Don't give up. So I'm like, what do you mean don't give up? What am I going to do? So what happens is I get home from prayers and I tell my wife, take me to the airport. Maybe if I get to the airport and then get to the airport, maybe we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll be able to get a ticket at the stand, whatever, waiting list. Let me figure it out. So now I have no tickets, I have my luggage, and I just drive to the airport. My wife is waiting outside of the terminal, and I go inside. And I get to the counter, and nothing. Zero. No tickets available, no business, no first class, no nothing. The whole flight is booked. The woman in the terminal, the counter, she says to me, I don't know what it is. How is it possible that people are going to Moldova and these flights are sold out? Like she has no clue what is going on. Who goes to Moldova, right? But these flights are all sold out through Turkish Air. And I'm coming to the realization, and by the way, besides for the fact that I have to, not only for myself and my family, but just many people counting on me to pray for them, to do a lot of things, to do for community-wise, etc., that I go there for. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't believe this is happening to me. Like, is this really happening? I don't have a ticket, I don't have nothing. And I go in the car with my wife, and I'm completely dejected. I go with her, we get some breakfast. And I'm just completely just depressed and done in that sense. I can't believe this is happening. We get back home. Now it's almost 11:15. The flight just left. I really know everyone's gone now. I'm lying down in my bed, completely just demoralized. And then something occurs to me. About a year ago, there is a Daf Yomi, which means learning a page of Gemara every single day. There's a massive worldwide Daf Yomi group that is headed by Rabbi Eli Stefansky. It's the largest worldwide Daf Yomi group in the world. Okay? And last year, I sponsored Torah learning for a month in honor, in the merit to make it to Uman for Rosh Hashana. And Baruch Hashem, last year, I was able to make it. When this year came around, a month before the trip, there were a couple of other guys who were very inspired by this. And they said, Michael, let's do all three of us together. Let's join together and do this. So I said, sure, no problem. You want to do it? Let's do it. So Baruch Hashem, myself with two other guys, we did a three-way sponsorship to make it to Uman for Rosh Hashana. So now you see something incredible. We're going to learn about the power of Torah and what it means when we say we're going to dedicate a class for something, a specific thing. You see how Torah is real. So I go back and I think about it. I'm lying in bed and I'm like, what can I do? I don't know. And all of a sudden I think about these two guys that I had that co-sponsorship with. And I don't even know them well at all. But these are people that, we've spoken a couple of times, whatever. But when you go on these kind of trips, you want to go with people that you feel trustworthy with. You feel you want to be close with them, You're going into uncharted territory here. It's a little scary. You want to make sure you're with people that you trust. So I get in contact with one of them. He has a very crazy itinerary. I'm like, forget about it. Not happening. I get in contact with the second one. He's from New Jersey. And he's telling me like this. He says, Michael, I'm leaving at 5 p.m, and I'm heading to Poland. My son is leaving on a flight from Newark at 7:45 at night. And he's going to go to Poland, and we're going to meet each other there. And then from Poland, we're just going to get to Uman. Now, we have two problems here. Besides right now getting to how I'm even going to get to these flights, we're not even there yet. The main question is, you want to go to Uman, Ukraine, war zone, going through borders. You want to know how you're getting there. I'm not going to go there and just wing it. It's not a regular year. This is like a serious thing. How do you wrap your mind around going to something where you don't even know what you're doing? Okay, when everybody has something kind of planned out. So I'm lying down in bed and I go, okay, how can I even get to Newark, and how does that going to work? So I go online and I check and I see that JetBlue has a flight that's literally leaving. I'm in my house right now, lying down on a bed, completely depleted. The flight is leaving literally in about an hour and a half. So I have to literally fly back to this airport again and try to board this flight from JetBlue to make it with an hour and 40-minute window to try to cross over to go on this Polish Airways flight. Okay? So I'm at a point right now where I'm like, okay, am I actually going to do this? Am I going to now be able to muster the energy to get out of my bed? Imagine that you're not like setting up, you're on your bed, you're done, and go random, not close people, try to take a flight. And that's the concept of Ratzon. That is the concept of will. How much willpower do you have to make it to the tzaddik for Rosh Hashanah? This to me was the ultimate challenge, and so much was on the line. So I literally picked up my phone. I go online. I see JetBlue has the flight, and my wife is actually walking into the house around the same time frame. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I booked the flight with JetBlue. I go directly to the website. I go directly to the website of Polish Airways, and I booked that flight too. And all of a sudden, I have to call quickly an Uber to pick me up and fly to the airport to hopefully make it on that flight, and then be able to also potentially make it to the next flight. I have 5 minutes to say goodbye to my wife. I didn't even get a chance to say goodbye to my children. And that was very difficult. And Uber comes, picks me up, see you later, get in my car, and we're off. And we're driving to the airport, and obviously I have my tickets, right? But I don't even know if I'm going to make it to the flights. And I'm feeling completely unease. Like, I'm not feeling good about this at all. And my whole mind, talk about all the challenges, everything starts flying right back. How can you believe you're doing this? Don't you understand that God doesn't want you to go? This is crazy. You're crazy, Michael. You're crazy. This is out of control. None of my friends, nobody knows what's going on with me right now. They're on their flight, haven't communicated with them. All of a sudden, a text message comes into my phone. Who is it? It's Gedalia Fenster. And Gedalia texts me. He has no idea what's going on with me right now, guys, but this is all messages from Shemayim. And he sends me a message and it says, don't give up. So I'm in a car ride. Don't give up again is coming in my phone. He has no idea what I'm even doing. And I'm heading on this flight to go into unknown chartered waters. I don't know what I'm doing. I get to the airport. I'm shaking, and I get to finally I make it to the terminal, so I know that I'm going to get on this first flight, and I start breaking down. I literally start breaking down. I'm sobbing like a baby. I don't know what I'm doing. This is an out-of-body sort of like experience, like, why are you doing this? You're crazy. You're leaving your family. This is so dangerous. Why are you doing this? And I'm a mess. I'm just a mess. Like, I know this is bigger than myself at this point. And I muster up whatever energy I can, and I get on that flight. And I'm still sobbing on that flight as before taking off. And all of a sudden, you can't make this stuff up. They announce, we're sorry, but now there's lightning going on, and therefore now it's going to be another delay. Remember, I have to make the flight that's going out from Newark to Poland, to Warsaw. So now, I'm sitting on this flight, I'm sobbing, and at this point I'm like, Hashem, this is in your hands. I mean, if you don't want me to go, if this is not another sign that you don't want me to go, and you're stopping me from going, that's fine. But at this point, I'm flying to New York, whether I like it or not. I'm already on the flight where I'm doing this, right? So, Baruch Hashem, eventually, after 20 minutes, the flight takes off, leaving me with a very, very narrow window to arrive in Newark and be able to get from Newark and transfer over. We arrive, and it's like from a movie. You're like running, like running for your life. I'm waiting for that luggage to come out, because I have to wait for luggage. It's not a connecting flight. It's not like you're going from here, okay, no problem, it's going to connect to the flight. You have to wait. It's two separate flights completely. I wait for my luggage, and then I start like running crazy fast to get to a tram. The tram takes you to the other side of the airport. I literally am getting to the other side of an international flight. There's I was looking at the clock. It was almost about 55 minutes left until the flight takes off on an international flight. 55 minutes till it takes off. And I'm running, and I'm puffing, and I finally get to the terminal of Polish Airways. And all of a sudden, I see a sea of black hats. And I said, I made it. I made it in the sense that now I know I'm for sure going to get on this flight. When I really thought at this point, like, there's no way I'm going to get on this flight. Baruch Hashem, I get on this flight. And now getting on this flight, I sit next to two Hasidic guys, beautiful guys. The whole plane is full of black hat people, so it felt good. I feel like you're surrounded at least by everybody who's going to Uman on this plane. And, you know, we finally arrived, and these two guys, specifically one of the ones who was sitting right next to me, there's a whole story on him, which I may share right now in this little story, because there's many stories in Uman that happen that they're all lessons in themselves. So that's up for another time. And again, I have to do a whole blog on this stuff to write down everything that occurred. I just haven't had the time. It's just been craziness since I've been back. But we finally arrived to Poland. Okay, so now I'm in Warsaw, right? Now what's unbelievable is like this. Remember I told you guys before, my wife was not happy about this, right? And not happy is not the right word, right? All of a sudden, the moment I decided I'm going to make this New York flight to go to Poland, every stop along the way, she became my biggest cheerleader. She was cheering me on as I kept going from stop to stop to make it to Uman, to actually make it there. You see how the whole script flipped. It went from really bad to now, oh yes, you made it to here. Oh my God, this is amazing, right? Unbelievable. That's one thing. Now, we get to Poland, and now another obstacle's in the way. What's the obstacle? That the guy who was meeting with from the co-sponsorship from that Daf Yomi program, it was him and his two sons and myself, and he said he got it, he ordered like a BMW car, a nice car, whatever, great. And he's like, we have a problem. The problem is we have way too much luggage, and between all of us, we can't fit in this car. So again, remember, it's like unknowns. You're going into another city. You don't know where you're going. How are you going to get there? It's a whole, I don't know how we're going to get to Ukraine, right? It's crazy. So long story short, after back and forth, not knowing what we're going to do, with these Hasidic guys who started having conversation with, ended up being that he, by mistake, ordered 2 Mercedes Sprinters. By mistake, he ordered one by mistake, which means that it was a guy sitting right there with a beautiful, beautiful Mercedes Sprinter ready to go for us to get into that car. Again, another financial obligation of obstacles that come in your way because it's a lot more expensive than doing your regular trip. But again, we've already accomplished the fact that we did the trip as it is very expensive. The way there was already a crazy expensive trip, but I said, okay, now we're dealing with this. And I said, you know what? Let's do it. We all agreed. Fine. We get on the Sprinter. Baruch Hashem. We have a plan. Our plan is the guys from Uman, we're going to drive through a border, which I don't even know what that even means. But we're going to go through a border. It's not fun. It's a little scary, supposedly. We may have to wait hours to get through this border and then drive into Ukraine. What's the deal? I'm the kind of person that said, hey, look, I just want to go straight into Ukraine because right now, just understand, it's Thursday now, and it's about 2 p.m. Every hour counts. It's about approximately a 14-hour drive to get from Warsaw to Uman with essentially almost no stops. 14-hour drive. It's a long drive. So now the deal was that it said if we're going to actually make it and go to Uman, the guy who I'm going with says to me, well, we need to stop first at the kever of the tzaddik of the Noam Elimelech, Rabbi Elimelech of the Jensk. Now you have to understand, he's always been on my bucket list as a tzaddik. I always wanted to stop by and pray in. But I'm like, no, come on, we just got to go to Uman, just Rabbi Nachman. Let's not mix this up a little bit. Can we just go straight? I just want to get there because if we get stopped, we miss something. I need to get there before Shabbat. I don't want to get stuck in another city. Again, you're in Ukraine. You don't know, the war, blah, blah, blah. Fine. That's the deal. If I'm going to go with them, we have to go there. I said, fine, but let's make it quick. Please, let's make it quick. We get to Rabbi Elimelech of the Gens. Now, you can't make this stuff up, guys. We get there. First thing we do is we go to the mikvah. Normally, Rabbi Nachman says, and we find this also in the book of Likutei Sichot, that anytime a person's going to travel, you should always go to the mikvah first because it'll keep you safe and it'll keep you away from any trouble and danger. Okay? That morning, I didn't even know I was going to Uman, so I didn't even get a chance to do the mikvah or anything like that. But now that we got to the tzaddik, I had an opportunity, went to the mikvah, came out, and now we're walking into the actual kever to go mispalo, to go pray at the kever of the tzaddik. So right before I'm about to enter, if anybody knows what it's like to go inside Noam Elimelech's kever, it's like a in-house structure. I walk in, and then you can make a right, and if you make a right, you'll see there's like another wall that divides from the kever to like another like little like ante room on the right. So before, I don't know what got into me, and before I'm going to go in there, I made a right, I walked around, and I look at the wall, and there's a huge poster. What does it say on the poster? It's the it's the prayer from Rabbi Nachman of Breslov to make it to the tzaddik for Uman, to make it to Rosh Hashana, at the kever of the Noam Elimelech. So first thing I do, of course, I pray with my heart that I can make it there safely. And then I finish that, and then I walk straight in front of the kever of the tzaddik, Rav Noam Elimelech Olajensk, and I say, please, I pray for my family, but I said, please, I need you to help me to get to Uman Rosh Hashana safely, there and back. That's all I'm asking you. Please, please. And that was it. So it ended up being that it was a very important part of the process, because again, we have to always confide that when we go into the kever of a tzaddik, they're going to listen to your prayers and potentially help you out with what you need. So that was an important part of this trip. We leave, and we start now doing the trek out to Ukraine, heading to the border. And now what everybody was talking about in regards to the border was that the borders close at 11 p.m. at night. And if you get there past 11, now you have to wait till 5 in the morning, which is now Friday morning. You have to get to 5 in the morning to wait till they reopen up again. And that could mean potentially that if you do all these things, you might not even get there for Shabbat, which is very scary, because that's, again, you don't want to be stuck somewhere that's not where you want to be. So, Baruch Hashem, we're driving, we're getting there, and then we get close, and it's, now it's very late, and we finally get to the border, and now 11 o'clock hits, and I see 11 o'clock hits, and my heart just sinks. Now we're standing in the line of a border, tons of cars, nothing's moving, and at that point, I'm just reciting Tehillim. Please, Hashem, help it, open up, help us get through, please. And eventually you start seeing the cars start moving, slowly but surely moving. Now it's 12:30 at nighttime. At 12:30 at nighttime, when you thought at this point there's no way we're gonna get through, we go through the border, go through a very interesting process. The dogs are sniffing all your suitcases. You have this crazy mean, guard, questioning you in some random language, and it's weird. And, you just kind of go through the motions, whatever. You try to be respectful. And Baruch Hashem, eventually, boom, we get through the border, and we get to the Ukrainian border. Okay, so now I'm thinking this is unbelievable. We are finally now in the Ukraine, right? One of the important things I want everybody to know this, and I mentioned it before, and I'm going to say it to a lot of people. The actual war is like saying Uman is New York City, and the war is happening in North Carolina. It's two different areas. The war is not in New York City. The war is North Carolina, right? So you have to know that it's not a danger area. People have been driving from there in and out consistently. That's part of the reason why I went. All my Rebbeim, all my Mashpiyim, all the rest of people that I know, everybody was going to be going. So this was something that I felt pretty good about. We're driving through. If you know Ukraine, if you've been there at nighttime, the roads are really dark and, irky and weird, and you're driving and everybody falls asleep in the car that I'm going in. And what happens? I'm still up and I'm looking at the driver, and the driver is wobbly because he's so tired. I'm like, oh my God, this is not happening right now. Another obstacle in the way. So I have to now be behind the guy. I'm tapping him, hey, and putting music in his ear and doing everything possible to keep the guy engaged, because literally the guy is swerving almost on to the other side of the road. And for myself, I can be can you please stop so we can wait for a little while? Like I said, we need to get there, right? The only thing I saw of actual war as we're driving through, we stopped at one of the gas stations, and there was about 30 army soldiers that were just getting some drinks and chips and totally cool. If you went to Israel and you saw the soldiers in a gas station, same thing. That's the extent of whatever war I saw that was in Ukraine. Baruch Hashem, after a long night of not sleeping, imagine I haven't slept now in both of the flights since I left in the morning. Now we're already the next day, crazy time zone differences. I'm a disaster. I'm a mess physically. We have no food really. I'm running on just little snacks that I took with me. We finally get to Uman. We pull into Uman, and it's another 2.5 hour waiting for more patrol, more army to check your bags, check your luggage, check your passports, check everything, which was another wait. Now, we go through all of this, and at some point now, it's almost like 12:30 in the afternoon on a Friday. So Baruch Hashem, the good news is I'm there before Shabbat, which is huge. Finally pull into Uman. And it's an incredible thing because you think about the long journey, almost 48 hours of traveling, guys. 48 hours to get to Uman. We pull into Uman, and you can't go in through the normal way. The Pushkina Street is the main street of Uman. We have to go all the way on the bottom of a hill, which is not the normal way. We get to the bottom of the hill, and all of a sudden, we arrived at Uman. We are now at, ground central, or the action's at, and it starts pouring, but not like rain, like pouring rain. And now I have to get out of a car with a massive suitcase that I have on me and climb up a 10-minute trek up a hill to get to the top main area of Pushkina Street. And as I'm going through this process, I'm just, you're exhausted, you're drained out, you're getting poured on, and I'm like, thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem, because with all the obstacles to get to Uman this year, psychologically, emotionally, physically, right? To finally arrive and understand, look at what I had to go through to get to this place, to be by the tzaddik, to be able to get your tikkun, your rectification for yourself, for your family, to help out, pray for your friends and family, etc. You almost get to, you're like, wow, this was all worth it. And the truth of the matter is, you have to know that the more a person sacrifices, Mesirat Nefesh, in order to serve Hashem in a makom of holiness and Kedusha, when you know what's right is right, when you understand that, that's the best. That's how you know, really, that you're going to have an incredible light, an incredible year that's coming your way. Because it's all about Ratzon. It's all about will. We know that Ratzon is a concept, the will is a concept of Keter. And the concept of Sfirot, the highest light of the spheres, is called the light of Keter, the light of Ein Sof. And we know, Rabbi Nachman talks about how Ratzon is connected with Keter, right? What is Keter? Keter is the crown. That's the crown on top. And the crown on top is the concept of what? Of Rosh Hashana. Because Rosh Hashana, what do we have to do? We crown Hashem, King of the world. And guess what? There were 30,000 people in Uman this year. 30,000 people that did Mesirat Nefesh, that sacrificed everything from their family, kids, physical, money, difficulties, sick, challenge, whatever. Everybody has their own stories. And that is the concept of crowning Hashem, King of the world. The Ratzon that people have to have this year to have a true connection to the tzaddik, Rabbi Nachman, to really appreciate that is hard to understand and comprehend. The more years that I've been involved in learning Rabbi Nachman, getting connected from, now I would say I'm in let's call it year number 7, of being connected to the tzaddik. It's like a relationship that continues to grow and grow and grow, and you're learning the Torahs, and you're teaching the Torahs, and you're receiving the light, and you're feeling high levels of Kedusha and holiness and Emunah and faith, and now it's a new type of relationship where you have been pushed to the everything, all your kishkas have been pushed to see how much do you want this connection with Rabbeinu Zal. How much do you want it? And in this case, I'm so thankful to Hashem that I had that Ratzon, that willpower, to be able to fight through all these obstacles. Going back to about a month and a half before the trip, with all the actual mental obstacles that came in my way, sleepless nights, to being able to finally do it, to having no, you can't go on that flight, no, you can't go on this flight, no, so sorry, sir, you didn't make this flight, to be able to now, thank God, through the power of Torah, being able to now getting on other flights with people that I don't really have a connection with, to be able to find the right transportation and not go through some train and this and that, to be able to finally get in through the darkness, crazy driving in the middle of the night, to get to Uman, exhausted out of my mind. All of that was worth every second. And that is what I want to leave us tonight with. That the power of tonight, being connected to Rabbeinu, feeling this connection is a newer level of understanding and awareness of God that I never had before. An incredible awareness of being what it means to really be connected to the tzaddik. What does that mean? How much sacrifice? And I learned when I was there about other legendary Breslov people that were there already going back, from the 60s, even talking about the late 70s, and the Messirut Nefesh that they had. They some people took a week to get there, to be there for 10 minutes by the kever. So for us, 48 hours is like, that's nothing. But we're a new generation and we're a lower generation. And for us, that's like, oh my God, that's a lot, So that's the story of how I really got to Uman. Anything else you see with the videos of myself being like, ha 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 ha, it wasn't so ha ha ha. It was a lot of work in every single way, as you just heard. So I just wanted to get that story out there. B'ezrat Hashem, I will be able to put that out there in writing, putting in a lot of Torahs combined with all these different things that I went through, because we were literally living through Rabbi Nachman's teachings as you're going through all this. And I just want to thank Hashem again for the opportunity and be able to give this off tonight on an auspicious night like it is tonight. The Yahrzeit of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. It's a big zchut. And I bless all of you guys if you have an opportunity. Light a candle still if you haven't. Light a candle for Rabbi Nachman ben Fega, ben Simcha, and pray to Hashem that in the merit of the tzaddik, He should answer all your prayers and give you what you need, specifically in the world of ruchniut and spirituality, which is the ultimate truth, which is the way we get closer to Hashem, which is everything, which is Olam Haba, your foreverness. That's it. This is what life is all about, is to be able to feel as close as you can to Hashem in this world. Through the light of the tzaddik, He helps you to get there. He helps you to really be focused, hyper-focused on what's important in life. Baruch Hashem. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the story. If you were able to hang around till the end. And B'ezrat Hashem, hopefully tomorrow I can kind of give a little bit more Torahs from Rabbi Nachman. In the event that I'm going to head tonight, and I may speak, maybe I'll put myself back on Facebook Live, but it might be too late for Eastern time people. So B'ezrat Hashem, I hope you guys again have an incredible night of true emuna and faith in tzaddikim. And one more thing I wanted to say, and I didn't want to forget this part of the story, talking about the concept of emuna tzaddikim. Remember when we were discussing the whole concept of the missiles are going to be fired into Uman, it's going to be dangerous, the Russians are going to get you, blah, 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 blah. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, Rabbi Nachman's main student in Likutei Halachot, specifically states that if there's a war, you will be protected because of the tzaddik. You're either an all-in believer or you're not. You either listen to the words of tzaddikim and you trust in them, or you don't. Okay? This is the kind of stuff that makes, this is what it's all about. And it's scary because it's not like he's alive now, okay, Michael, this is what, he's not. But he wrote that in his books, and we believe in his books, and we believe in everything that these tzaddikim say. So this is another example of having that emunah and faith in tzaddikim that helped me to be able to, Baruch Hashem, get to him. Much love, guys. We will see you all tomorrow. Enjoy the night.